Welcome to With Heart. Few things add a high level of class to a bedroom quite like an upholstered headboard. However, they can run several $1,000s if you're going to buy them retail. But interior designer Danielle Oakey says you can actually make your own, make it look like you didn't make it, all for under what, $200?
Right, yeah. So making a headboard is actually a lot of really simple materials. Plywood, some 2x4s, some simple batting from Joann's, fabric, and it's just wrapped around it, and it actually is a lot easier than you think it could be.
So the other items that we need for this project are upholstery nails, a rubber hammer, a staple gun, and that's it. Okay, so we just bought these basic supplies at a hardware store and also at Joann's Fabric, like you mentioned. And tell me how we did this frame.
Okay, so all we did is we bought a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of plywood, and then we cut it down to the size that we needed. Since we're doing a king bed, we just made sure we went 2 inches bigger on each side. And then we bought simple 2x4s. We attached them together in the square frame, added a support bar in the middle, and then nailed our plyboard to it. And we made the 2x4s a little bit longer for the legs so that it has something to stand on the ground.
And you also suggested if you want to make the center a little bit thicker, a trick would be to add an extra layer of batting, or start with that extra layer of batting around just the center inside and leave the border open.
Right, since we are gonna add decorative upholstery nails to the outside, sometimes it's nice to have that little bit of the edge to come up so it looks like the upholstery nails are really pushing down the fabric. But in reality, it's really hard to get that to happen. So if we just create a false border by putting the batting just on the interior, then we can simply do that, and it makes it a lot easier when you're putting your nails in.
Okay, so we're to the point now where we have created our frame, we've laid down the batting underneath us, and what are we going to do next?
So we're simply just going to pull our batting towards us around the frame and staple it to the frame.
What is the key to doing this right?
So what I like to do is I like to take the batting and start in the middle. So I'll start in the middle of the headboard, pull it back, staple it, go to the sides to the middle, and then work my way around. And the corners can be a little bit tricky, but you just want to make sure you do small amounts stapling so that you don't get a bunch of batting or fabric all in one spot. And if you do have a bunch up of batting or fabric, feel free to cut it out so that you don't have too much in triangles or whatever you have to do to make it fit.
So we have the batting now in place. What's the next step?
So you have to decide how much batting you want to use. You could go ahead and you put another layer of batting if you wanted it to be a little bit of a fuller look. Or if you like a little bit more of a firm look, then you just go ahead, lay your fabric down, make sure it's ironed or steamed, and then do the exact same thing.
What's the number one thing that can take it from looking like a DIY to looking like you bought it in a store?
I would say making sure if you have a print or a pattern that it is lined up and it's not going on a diagonal at all. But if you just have a solid fabric, probably just the corners. So make sure you spend a lot of time, make a good fold and edge so that it doesn't look like you just stapled some fabric to a board.
Okay, and also pulling it taut.
Yes, exactly, because if you don't get it tight enough, then you'll have a little bit of sag inside of the middle of the board.
Okay, so let's talk about the nail trim. Now this is a little bit different than just regular nails. This is quite a bit easier to use.
It is. So with regular nail trim or just the standard nail trim, you actually nail in each one of the nail heads. But this is kind of nice because you only nail in, I believe it is every 7th nail head. And so it helps making it straight, and it's just a lot easier when you're doing it yourself. So it actually comes in a chain, and you just lay that out on your headboard, making sure it's as straight as you can, and then you use your rubber mallet and you nail it in every 7th.
Because otherwise you could have nails going all over the place.
And that is one of the hardest parts about making this not look like a DIY, is making it straight. So you might have to spend a little extra time on it, but the high-end look that you get in the end is well worth the time you spend.
Okay, and you have done quite a few of these, and what's the reaction when people see a DIY headboard done this way?
So typically when people can't afford a bedroom set or a headboard or a bed, they just have nothing there. And so it's kind of fun to be able to have all my bedrooms have headboards and to have that finished look, and people really respond well to them. And they just think that they can't tell that I made them. And that is probably the biggest compliment to a DIYer, is when you don't know, someone doesn't know that you made it.
So thank you so much to Danielle Oakey from Danielle Oakey Interiors for working on this project with me. For more step-by-step instructions and also a little bit more information about it, head over to withHEART.com.